Hello and welcome to another round where I'm joined by amazing colleagues of mine and other business owners talking about what are their ways of making it work for them, what they encountered on their journey and what we can learn from them. And I'm very pleased and honored to have Johannes today as my guest. Hello, Johannes.
Hi, Moritz. Beautiful speaking with you today.
Likewise. I want to say a few words to how I know you. Johannes is a friend of mine. Johannes is a colleague of mine. We're joined together in a group of men. We're 5 men. We call us each other the magic 5 because that's really what I encounter when I'm being with Johannes. Johannes is a very skilled executive coach grounded in an understanding called the 3 principles. And I think I came across you actually way back, like a couple of years ago, in the group for German speaking 3 principle practitioners and coaches. I think you've been active in there. I forgot Mark. Is the name Mark of the guy that runs the group? Yeah. So I think I saw you there, and I met you again this year. We're both working with Ankush as our coach at the moment. I met you in India again, where you're immersing yourself in so much learning and development, and you do that on the side while you run a successful business. What I've seen from you is really the experience that you have and what you bring in from your past into today in being a coach. I think you worked in different companies and you had a whole career in corporate that I don't know so much about, but it's informing your work today. And one of the things that I see with you is that you're really good in creating systems and working systems, but at the same time, you have this deep understanding of the mind and how the mind works. And from what I understand, that's really what you invite the leaders that you work with and the executives that you work with all around, that this is what you invite them into a space where you share a deeper understanding of the mind.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the acknowledgement, Moritz. And that is true. It's funny because I also saw your name or your figure, and it was always a bit of a mystery to me who this Moritz is that also seems to be grounded in the 3 principles. And then I'm so happy that we met at the beginning of the year and that we hit it off so much that, we started a friendship. We started you could say like working or inspirational relationship together in the mastermind that we're in together. We're peers. I'm learning so much for you as a powerful creator, as a powerful explorer. And I'm just super happy to be here. And yes, I think what I love about this work is the transformational power of bringing together businesses, people in business and where they are at, and the very specific and concrete problems, challenges they're dealing with, goals they're having, and bringing it back to the degree that it's useful to an understanding of how the mind truly works and what they really have got going for them, what their true design for success is, and how that is the source of all of their creation and all of their challenges and all of their inspiration and creativity, and how they can use that deeper understanding very practically and bring it into their enterprises, bring it to the products and service that they're offering, and dealing with the people at work, improving collaboration. And I find it fascinating because I love business as a means of creating something good in the world. I find it very powerful. I used to work as a strategy consultant. I used to work as a business developer and head of department. I used to work as head of HR and head of strategy. And I just love businesses that have truly good and transformative impact on the world. And that's the kind of businesses, that's the kind of leaders, that's the kind of entrepreneurs that I love working with and that I want to support in doing more of that in the world.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I want to acknowledge you for that. And I want to acknowledge you for that you do that while you also lead a family, while you also have 2 children, while you also, as I said in the beginning, like, immerse yourself in learning, you travel, you do some trainings, and you're really committed. For this call, you just let me know, like you just brought your son to school, so it could be tight. And I admire that, having men like you on this podcast that are living both, like a successful business and the family and being there and great relationships. So I really want to highlight that about you before we go deeper into what you just said and unpack a little bit of the work that you do with corporate leaders and executives all around.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. And I mean, life is such a multi-dimensional game. I love to see how, these kinds of relationships, my family, everything that I'm learning there, everything that I'm struggling with there also can help me grow as a business leader. And everything that I'm learning about in my business can help me become a better father and husband. And that's also what I invite my clients to look at together with me, because they usually come with a business topic, a business challenge, a business goal or something as a first point of contact in our coaching relationship. And I want to invite them to the possibility that it's the way that they're using their mind that creates all of their situations, all of their challenges, all of their possibilities in life, in their personal relationships, in their families, in their health topics, in their business, and that we can bring everything to the table and everything can be a catalyst to learn something about every other area of life. And this I find so fascinating about the kind of coaching that we do, the kind of holistic and transformative coaching that really, starts at the root of everything that is going on in our experience of life.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about when you meet somebody that has like very strong business goals and that's what they come to you for. How do you start a conversation with them about, hey, I get the goal, but also invite them into this deeper understanding of the mind? And maybe you can say a few words about this understanding of the mind, as I believe you're really grounded in that.
Yeah, sure. This is a lesson that I needed to learn. I personally am fascinated by psychology, by personal development, by how the mind works. I have been for a really long time. And it is my almost natural and naive assumption that everyone would be as interested as I am. And so what I've come to see is that most people in business, most leaders, they actually think their mind works really fine. They're not super interested in how the mind works. They're interested in their performance, in their well-being, in their challenges, and in their goals. And how I start a conversation is meeting them exactly where they are at. I'm doing a lot of intake. I'm doing a lot of calibration. I'm asking a lot of questions. I really want to get their world because I want to find out what is it that they truly want. That's my number one job, finding out what they want and how I can support them getting what they want. Because whatever they want has wisdom, makes a lot of sense to them given their current understanding of life, of business. And so this is where they will become motivated, inspired, committed to a coaching relationship when they can see possibilities for themselves in what they truly want. And from there, I know that every result that they're having in life is a result of the actions that they're taking. And all the actions that they're taking is a result of how they're thinking about life, how they're feeling in the moment, what their state of mind is in the moment, which is a function of how they're understanding the mind, how they're seeing the mechanics of the mind work, and how they're seeing their true nature and their innate capabilities. And so what I'm trying to do is meeting them where they're at the level of usually actions and results in their life, and then take them upstream, basically take them up this causal chain that I just laid out to what I think is the most leveraged place possible. Because at the source of all the creation, at the level of the mind, this is where everything starts. And the further you are upstream, the better you understand anything, pretty much. We can use that better. The better we understand our mind, we can use that in more effective and efficient ways. This is where I'm trying to take them in the speed possible. And what I've come to see about the mind is how much of everything that is going on is created inside of us, is created inside of the mind. So we could call that an inside-out understanding of the mind, which is possibly the biggest illusion that we're living in, the biggest trick of the mind, that it constantly looks like our life, our world, our circumstances, our bosses, our colleagues, our businesses, our projects, our to-do lists, our families are giving us feelings, are creating an experience of life for us. And what I've come to see, and where I'm trying to take my clients over time as well, is to see the true inside-out nature of the mind, the power of the mind in creating our experience of life in each and every moment. And thus the fact that we're never the victim of our circumstances, even if it looks that way, because it does look that way most of the time, but that we are always the owner and the creator of our own experience. And the deeper one sees that, the easier it becomes to create in life, the easier it becomes to change your circumstances in life, the easier it becomes to feel better, feel happier, feel more fulfilled, feel less stressed, feel less overwhelmed. And from that place of being in a better state of mind, it becomes so much easier to then get the results in life that you want. This is sort of the dance that I'm doing with my clients, the dance between the very concrete actions and results in their life and what they can do about that, and how they created at the source of all creation, the mind, and what a deeper understanding of the mind can do for them to much more effortlessly and magically create the results in life that they truly want.
What's one surprising story maybe that you have of a corporate leader getting more of that understanding and what changed for them? Maybe that helps illustrate for somebody listening to this doesn't really understand all that we share and we kind of are immersed in that understanding. Let's assume there's somebody listening to this that doesn't have that understanding. And would you have a story?
Okay, sure. Absolutely. I have many stories. I'm thinking which one I can pick. There are a couple of, let's say, typical challenges or situations that I very much often encounter, because something that most of my leader and executive clients have in common is that they are dealing with states of mind that they don't like, that you could call negative. They're dealing with stress. They're dealing with overwhelm. They're often dealing with lack of confidence or insecurity. They believe that they don't have what it takes. And from this point of view, they often, show up with a hypothesis of what it takes in order to improve their leadership or the situations in their business. And for example, one, let's say, hypothesis that usually comes up is that they come up with the understanding that they have a pretty much fixed personality, and that for this kind of personality that they have, there is a corresponding leadership style that would really be suitable to how they lead their teams. And that now it is their job or our job to find out what the best leadership style for them is, and then for them to start acting more congruently with their leadership style. From that point of view, a lot of challenges become really problematic, because what the person has done in that moment is they've created a box for themselves out of which it is very difficult to get out. That box is their personality and who they think they are and how they think they are and what they think they can do well and what they think they're not made to do. And so they basically have to align their actions within that box of self-created limitations. So they often struggle with that. They struggle with then limiting beliefs and the way they've created the perception of their own strengths and their own abilities. And for example, with this one client who's a very inspirational, quite young, about 30, talented leader who was about to be promoted to managing director level of the agency that she was working in. She came with, wanting to figure out her leadership style because she had a lot of challenges with her team, with communication, with her own well-being. And so the journey that we went on and what she came to see over time was that even what she thought was her personality was self-created, was an illusion, basically, like a very persistent illusion, in the sense that if she were coming from a clear and calm mind more and more of the time, she did not need any specific and fixed leadership style corresponding to her presumably fixed personality, but she would be a perfectly, what I sometimes call, situational leader, that she could, in a clear and calm mind, tap into her innate wisdom, tap into her creativity, tap into her innate empathy, and always find the best solution, the best decision, the perfectly suited communication style for that specific team member or for that specific situation. So she realized there was no box in the first place, and that what she was perceiving as stressing her out, overwhelming her, was actually her own creation. And I know that a deeper understanding of just this mechanism of the mind usually calms us down, because it brings us back to our inside and innate power. And from that moment on, when we had a deep discussion about the mind and how she was creating those illusory challenges herself, like, she really got it. She had like a deep insight about how she was making it all up, basically. She was making up her own personality. She was making up how others were making her feel a certain way. And from that moment on, she was almost liberated. It was so cool, because she usually then came back to the sessions and she said, I don't really have any problems to talk about. I mean, there are like challenges and there are situations, but I know that I can deal with them all because I have everything I need in order to deal with them all when I'm coming from a clear and calm mind. And that was so beautiful, because from this place, then also you move from solving problems towards powerful creation. All of a sudden, like, a whole new world of possibilities opens up about what you can do with your team, with your business, and so on. And we moved into that space, and that was really beautiful, her evolution as a leader, to be able to see that and accompany that.
Nice. What do you think allowed her to be open for that insight and that transformation? And I'm asking that in the context of, I don't know if that's something you encounter, but something I certainly encountered in the world of business is like, Yeah, well, that's good. But here is the real problem. This is the real problem. The real problem is that my team doesn't communicate well. And I remember like I had a business leader coming, like I came in, I had a conversation with him, and the whole conversation was about actually I should coach his team. And that's why we have a conversation. It ended up being the other way around. I coached him. I never coached his team. But I wonder like what allowed in your eyes her to be open to a deeper understanding of the mind, which I think many people in business could benefit from.
Well, to me, it seems that some people just show up more openly. It's only one aspect, but it is an aspect that some people are just generally more open to learning and seeing something new and developing. And she was that kind of person. She was quite open to begin with. And what I said earlier is also part of the puzzle. I know that people become more open when they feel secure, when they feel listened to, when they feel understood, when they feel that there's someone in front of them who's not judging them, which is very difficult to find usually in business. People who really deeply listen, people who don't judge, people who try to understand before they try to make you understand. And so that I see as my role as a coach, to create a space which makes it really easy for people to become more open through deep listening, through non-judgmental attitude, through understanding and helping them to really slow down and really calm down. And for me, what is becoming another piece of the puzzle more and more is to make it really clear at the beginning of a coaching relationship. And I've grown, I think, much stronger in that over time, to create a strong agreement with my clients, what it means to be highly coachable, and that's what it means for them to get a really high return on coaching. Mm-hmm. And so there's something very powerful about being very specific what makes them a better client and how they can orient themselves towards being more open, how they can orient themselves towards not trying to evaluate whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm asking, towards not trying to answer questions the way they have always answered them or what they already believe is true, but to really look fresh, to really try and see fresh, to be open to something completely new, to slow down and thus be able to tap into their own insights and wisdom. And also to be very committed to the coaching process and the coaching relationship and understand that this is possibly the most important thing they can do for themselves, is to show up fully, to bring time and attention to this process, to bring time and attention to the homework and to the field work that I'm giving them or that we jointly agree on. And there are a couple of other dimensions like honesty and integrity. And the more, pieces of the puzzle are in place, I've come to see that the more likely it is that people, my clients, will have deep insights that will basically transform their world and make a big and effortless difference for them.
I look to the side because I'm taking notes while you speak, so I'm learning on this, which is amazing. If there was one thing you could change in the current business landscape, what would that be?
To me, what I think would possibly have the biggest impact in the business landscape is the way people are trained, especially the leaders are trained. Because from an outside-in misunderstanding of how the mind works, it looks like what we're lacking for higher performance and for better collaboration is more skills, that we need training of skills, of tools and techniques to add to our toolbox. And that will then make us a better leader or a better team. And there's nothing to be said against skills. And what is even much more important and impactful is leveraging all the amazing and unlimited innate resources that we already have. And they are not usually unlocked from skills training, but they're unlocked from a deeper understanding of the mind, of the subtractive nature of the mind, meaning we usually don't need to add a lot of stuff, but what is really getting in the way of us unlocking these capabilities is the contaminated thinking that we have. And the more we clear this obstacle out of the way, the less contaminated and unhealthy thinking we have, the more we will tap into those innate resources. So it's really, completely the opposite of what usually businesses are teaching and what they're sending their people to trainings for. And on top of this understanding of the mind, any type of training is so much more effective because it comes from a much clearer, from a much more lavish place. So I think the way HR usually looks at developing their people and what will make the biggest difference, if that could be more directed towards an understanding of the mind and how that really works, and then building on that, I think that would make an amazing difference in businesses everywhere.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. What can somebody do that's listening to that and says like, hey, I really want to understand this inside out understanding in a deeper way, and I might want to bring that into my business. What would be your recommendation for them when they listen to this?
That's a great question. So for me personally, the door opener to this understanding was just by accident stumbling over someone who was talking about this understanding. And there are actually now a lot of people that do talk about this inside out understanding. I mean, you can listen to us, you can check out everything that Moritz is publishing, you can check out the things that I'm publishing and talking about, you can look at more well-known authors in the inside out space like Michael Neal or Jamie Smart. And so if you look for the things called inside out understanding of the mind or the 3 principles, you will find a place to start. And wherever you find something that you resonate with, be that a speaker or an author or a type of training or a book or something, whatever your favorite mode of immersing yourself in that is, I think, with a little bit of being open and time and attention, you can open a door. And in stepping through that door, there's something to see about the mind that you can't unsee once you see it. And I think it doesn't take much. It takes a little bit of an insight about what's actually going on in the mind that can then create the momentum to possibly look for a coach in this understanding, to look into more podcasts or book about this understanding. I mean, I know that whoever is listening to this or watching this, if they were to ask you or me about it, we could point them towards more resources of any kind. And then everyone has their own style. And I'm not saying this is limited to the 3 principles. I mean, you might as well look at Byron Katie or Eckhart Tolle or Michael Singer, or there are a lot of ways that you can find an access point and a doorway to a deeper and truer understanding of the mind. For me, and I think for you also, it has been the 3 principles that are formulated in a way that makes it really easy to do that. And from then on, you can always go on your own journey and start as a powerful practice, just noticing what's going on, noticing what's in your mind, noticing your state of mind and how you're creating the world and how there are different possibilities of creating the world, and supplementing that with time and attention and looking in this direction. And then your own personal and unique path will unfold.
I love that. I love how you, in all your sharing, you're pointing people back to themselves and what makes sense to them. I loved what you said in the beginning of our conversation when you said, I meet people where they're at and what they really want, because in what they really want, there's wisdom. And I think sometimes it can be a culture of telling us what we should want, telling us what would be good for planet, people, society, and people start mistrusting what they really want. And what you shared throughout this talk right now, to me at least, it sounded like you really go the direction of empowering that as your wisdom speaking to you. Like in what you really want, there is wisdom. I love that sentence. I wrote it down. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, sometimes people expect me to give advice or to give recommendations. But to be honest, I have no clue what people want or what they should want. Like literally no idea. But I do know that they have wisdom to figure out what they want or what they know to be true. And so I see it as my most important job to create a space that makes it easier for them to have those kinds of insights. And I know that a deeper and truer understanding of the mind will make it easier for them to have those kinds of insights. So I'm oriented towards that. Not as in I have to tell them, I have to instruct them, I have to teach them that, but it informs the way I'm looking at the world, the way I'm asking questions, the way I'm creating the space for my clients to have insights and realizations. And that's what it's all about, leading them back to their own inner GPS, their own navigation system, their own source of truth and wisdom, and their own North Star and compass, which is always present. And most of us, including myself in the past, like I didn't even know I had that. And someone helped me see that for myself. And that's what I want to help my clients see for themselves, because that will make the biggest difference for them.
Yeah, beautiful. A great place to end our conversation. Johannes, how people are curious about you and the work you do, how best to get a hold of you? How can they do that?
The best place to find me is on my website, johannesmetzler.com, or on LinkedIn, where I'm also quite active.
Nice. Thank you so much for the conversation. I'm looking forward to speak with you in a couple of hours when we have our private meeting, and I really enjoyed having you
Yes,
here
me too.
and asking you a bunch of questions. I learned stuff. I wrote stuff down that I'm curious to unpack, and luckily I get to watch the recordings of this too. For you, the listener, if you enjoyed this conversation, we have other conversations on the channel. If you like this video, thumbs up and subscribe, and there will be more added. We are looking to make around 2 videos a month, which is going to start happening in more regularity. And currently there are also a couple of videos in the pipeline. So when you see this video, know there's more coming. And every time I'm inviting different people with different perspective to talk about the mind, to talk about an understanding of business. And you're going to learn, as I learned in today's conversation. So looking forward to see you next time.